Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the Sedra of Noach. We dedicate this learning to the safe and speedy release of all of the hostages in Gaza and the safety and success of all of the soldiers in the IDF as they continue to fight bravely against evil enemies to the north and south and centre, and with God's help to be victorious over those enemies. And when we contemplate our challenges, I think that when we look at the Sedra of Noach, remember the story of Noach, and we can take inspiration from the efforts and the ability of Noach to rebuild a world that was destroyed when he was the only survivor. And we can understand that the rabbis are a little bit hesitant to go along with the words of the text. The opening verse in the Sedra of Noach, Eile told us Noach, this is chapter 6, verse 9. These are the offspring, the generations of Noach. Noach ish tzadik. Noach was a righteous man. Tomim hayabadorosov. He was perfect in his generations. Es ha'elohim hisalech Noach. Noach walked with God. And really, the Torah doesn't call anybody else a tzaddik in this way. And you'd think that we could retire on this posuk and think that Noach was a completely righteous person. There's really no higher accolade that could be given. Yet the rabbis are concerned that there were certain negative aspects. And we have later on in the Sedra, after the waters of the flood recede and Noach and his family emerge from the Teva, from the ark, and the verse tells us that, and this is in chapter 9, verse 20, Vayachal Noach ish ha'adama, and Noach, man of the earth, debased himself, Vayita korem, and he planted a vineyard. Vayesht min hayayin vayishkar, he drank of the wine and became drunk. And this is something that is viewed negatively. And we can understand that there are certain flaws, and this is not something that should take away from our overall perception. This is not something that should prevent us from recognizing the achievements of Noach. And we cannot underestimate the challenge, the difficulty of Noach as he emerges, seeing that the entire world, besides him and his family and the creatures that were with him in the ark, everything else is wiped out, is deleted, except for the fish, as Rashi tells us. But this is when he has to adjust to this new reality where he and his family are the sole survivors. This is a very, very big challenge. And very movingly, in Rabbi Lau's book, Out of the Depths, which is his autobiography, he talks about visiting an Israeli novelist called Itzik Manga. And Itzik Manga was a Holocaust survivor. And he was in hospital at the time, and he was drinking very heavily. And he speaks to Rabbi Lau, and he says, "Don't judge me. I watched the obliteration of my world, my entire village, my family, everyone gone, and I've turned to drink." And he compares himself, Yitzhak Manga compares himself to Noach after the flood, and he finds a parallel in the fact that he had to turn to drink after his experiences in the same way that Noach does. But we cannot let the achievements of Noach be forgotten against that background. And we look at the Torah, and the concluding paragraph of the Sedra of Bereshis spells it out so clearly. and this is chapter 6, verses 6. Vayinachem Hashem ki asa es ha'adam ba'aretz. And Hashem reconsidered having made man on earth. Vayisatsev el libo, and he was pained in his heart. And we have to remind ourselves that this is the conclusion of the first Sedra, which began with the creation of the world, which talked about on the sixth day of creation, just before the coming of Shabbos, the creation of the pinnacle of creation, which is mankind. So from such a bright start, at the end of that first Sedra, we have Hashem, as it were, regretting that. And then the verses continue. Vayomer Hashem, emche es ha'adam asher barasi. And Hashem said, I will dissolve man whom I created, me'al pnei ha'adama, from upon the face of the earth, me'odam ad behema, from man to animal, ad remesh, to creeping things, ad of hashamayim, and to birds of the sky, ki nichamti ki asisim, I have reconsidered my having made them. V'Noach motza chen be'enei Hashem, but Noach found grace in the eyes of Hashem. With this grace, with this chen, Noach goes on to rebuild a world after the destruction through the deep cleansing of the flood. And this is something that we can recognize the power of one person who, albeit with his struggles, albeit with the weaknesses and with the impact of what he went through still with him, but we can look at him and we too can recognize the power of one person. From this one person, the rest of humanity continues. He is the line that will continue, that will rebuild after the destruction. And we have a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, in Ethics of Our Fathers, the chapter 5, Mishnahs 2 and 3. And this counts Asora Doris me Adam v'ad Noach. There are 10 generations from Adam to Noach. And this is something that we count, that we can see. And the first generation of the Adam, the first man, is blighted by the sin in the Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. And all of the subsequent generations until Noach are living in the shadow of the sin that is committed by Adam Harishon, by the first man. But then we carry on, Mishnah 3, Asora Doros minoach va'ad Avraham. There are 10 generations from Noach to Avraham. So Noach is the midpoint. Noach is going to be the person who continues the line after the sin of the Garden of Eden, after the destruction of the flood. And he may not be on the level of Avraham Avinu, but still he is the turning point, and he is the rebuilder of this world. And this courage to continue, this is something that we can borrow from, and we can use it as we perhaps feel overwhelmed by a tidal wave of news that is challenging, of times ahead of worry and anxiety. And we can borrow from the story of Noach, we can look at the man Noach, we can take some of Noach's chen. And it's interesting to note that the word chen, which seems to be the saving grace of Noach, that means that Hashem chooses him to be the one to continue the world, is actually an inversion of his name. Noach is nun ches, chen is ches nun. Nothing is random, nothing is coincidental. And this idea of Noach, the name Noach, has a sense, a meaning. Lanuach is to rest. There's also a quality of serenity that is associated with the person Noach. And the actions of Noah, how does he achieve this serenity? How does he find favor in Hashem's eyes? And if we look at his actions, there are certain unique uh, aspects of what he does. And the first is that he revitalizes the earth. He is somebody who, after he comes out of the Teva, after the flood, he farms the world. He invents tools, and we have in English the word husbandry that refers to farming, and this implies a very close connection with the earth. And this is perhaps one way that this chen expresses itself, his care for the earth that Hashem created, and the efforts that he invests to make people's lives better on this earth by creating tools, for example. Another aspect of the chen that Noah has, even though perhaps he is criticized for not trying to persuade the people of his generation to desist from their evil ways and prevent the destruction of the world. But the kindness that he is famous for, that he shows as he looks after all of the animals in the ark, again, this is kindness to Hashem's creations. This is showing an aspect of his character, of his giving nature. And this is an important part of the chen that we need to learn from. We need to borrow from this reservoir of chen that Noah had in such abundance. And this is the way that we rebuild. We rebuild ourselves, and we can rebuild a world that seems to be imploding. And all of these things are ways that we can find the relevance of the story of Noah in our lives in this particular time. And we can see this is one person, and although from the 10 generations from Noah to Abraham are going to are leading to the establishment of the descendants of Abraham and the Jewish people. But before that, we have this idea from the qualities of Noah, from the achievements of Noah, we have the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, the seven basic moral principles that before we have the Aseres Hadibros, before we have the acceptance of the Torah on Har Sinai by the Jewish people, these seven core values, they are forever associated with Noah. And this is like the foundation of the world. And Noah is really forever associated with those. And we talk about everybody in the world being B'nai Noach. These are literally the children of Noah. So Noah has this pivotal role in establishing the continuation of humankind on the earth. And we also have a pasuk in Yeshayahu that talks about the kasher nishbata al mei Noach. Noach is associated with a covenant of Hashem never to destroy the world again, irrespective of the actions of people that may actually require, that deserve that the world be destroyed because they are so corrupt. The people are behaving in such a, 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 a way that is completely against the antithesis of the standards of morality that are expected of human beings who are created in the image of God. And yet, Noach is associated with a covenant that the Hashem will never destroy the entire the entire humanity again. And we have in one of the songs that we sing on Shabbos, Yom Shabboson Ein Lishkoach, The final verse of that is we talk about Ha'om Asher Na Katzon Ta'ar. This is talking about the Jewish people in exile. And it carries on, Ka'asher Nishbata al Mei Noach, just as you swore on the waters of Noach. And these waters of Noach are forever a reminder that Hashem is going to continue the human enterprise on this earth, and it is something that we learn from the man Noach, and we need to continue the tradition, continue the chen that is represented by Noach in his interactions with the world around him, the environment, the physical world that he takes care of, the animal world that he takes care of. And we are in this way able to spread that beyond, and in our interactions with other people bring this quality of chen, so that we can rebuild a world where we are going to bring honor and glory to the creations that Hashem made in the Seder of the previous week. And we would never come to a point where Hashem would regret his decision to create human beings, but rather it is going to be something that brings joy and nachas to our Creator, and chen we all find chen in the eyes of, as we say in benching, we'll find chen in the eyes of Hashem and in the eyes of people, in a way that we can learn from Noach, the man in this week's Sedra. Thank you very much for listening, and wishing everybody Shabbat shalom. And this is also we are going into the new month of Mar Cheshvan. Rosh Chodesh is on Friday and Shabbos, and we are praying that this month, although it's associated with the disaster of the flood, and which we read about in the Seder of Noach as well, but still we can, when we have the prayers that Hashem should bless everybody with a good month, we should certainly redouble our prayers and our deep kavanah that it should be a good month of good news for all of the people of Israel, and beyond, to the whole world, that we can see a world that is a fitting place for the presence of Hashem to rest in. Thank you very much for listening.